The NASCAR saga is over. NASCAR 2311 and Front Row have finally settled. What does this mean for the teams and NASCAR going forward into the future? Hello. Welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. Zack and Alex are back with you to finish off discussion on the NASCAR trial, the antitrust lawsuit that 2311 and Front Row were putting onto NASCAR. And, you know, honestly, I was slightly disappointed to be like, oh, it's settled, it's over. What do you mean it's over? But also,
oh my gosh,
girl, I'm
relieved.
I think after the Jim France testimony, I was like, you know, I feel like I've seen everything I've needed to see.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing else.
Jim
that was
France and Steve Phelps went, who felt like the main villains of this whole thing, or main characters, if you don't want to call them villains. I was just like, okay, I got my fill. Like that, whatever day it was, I think it was a day or two before they actually settled. It was just like Jim so France many bombshells came out, and just Jim France did a horrible testimony, said, I don't know to virtually every question. And I feel like there's a lot of questions that he said that to things he should know about.
Yeah.
And he was very steadfast. The day before the settlement, he said, like, I can't guarantee what the future is going to hold. That's why he didn't want to do permanent charters. But the next day they settle. It was just like, it was a lot of fun to learn about the inner workings of NASCAR. And just like a lot of tea was spilled. I don't think it was necessarily a positive for the sport in terms of like all the negative light that was shown.
Yes.
And this trial never should have happened. NASCAR should have settled a long time ago.
I mean, because they settled. Like, it's hard to, what's that term called? The fallacy, the sunk cost fallacy. Like, you know, you've already spent all this money into the trial. You're in the trial. But no, like settling was the best option, as we'll get into. And just to kind of like run down last week, like Monday was kind of a boring day in the court because like the team's like expert witness was like, you know, crunching numbers. Tuesday was the actual like interesting day. We had Jim France and Richard Childress, I believe, right? And then Wednesday was also kind of like a boring day because NASCAR started their case. And then Thursday morning, you know, not even like before noon, comes out that they settled. And it's kind of I don't even want to say it was an anticlimactic end, because it's almost like one of those like books that you read in school that like the climax is like in like the second to last chapter. You know, the climax happened. That's all we need to see. Wrap it up. That's kind of how I would describe the story of this NASCAR trial.
And the night before the settlement, Bass Pro Shops, Johnny Morris put out a letter just kind of denouncing this whole trial and really focused in on the whole Richard Childress leaked text that Steve Phelps had sent in the group chat that got posted. And there's a lot of speculation if that wasn't like the final straw, like, oh, our sponsors are pissed now.
Yeah, because I didn't see it as like that at first, but then the more you think about it, I'm like, well, that's one of the highest paying sponsors in the sport.
And I was telling you, I bet a lot of other sponsors were not happy and were internally, this is a theory, internally sending messages to NASCAR like, hey, this has got to stop. So money talks, and if they lose the sponsors, then you don't have a sport. You can,
And while it never like officially came up in the trial, I believe the Steve Phelps text messages, I think that did a lot more damage to NASCAR in this case and just in general than most anything else, weirdly enough. Like, because it kind of spiraled.
The Richard Childress story is really the big part of what spiraled here for NASCAR, I feel, because there's also Richard Childress, when he testified, NASCAR shared some information that was under an NDA, and that's not a resolved issue yet.
Right.
So there's just a lot of things that just kind of fell out of control from NASCAR's point of view. And I'm sure we'll hear more about that. I'm sure that'll get settled or something to try and just move on from all this. But yeah, let's talk about what is reported to be in the settlement. The settlement has not been officially released, shared, nothing. I don't know if we'll ever actually get that. Maybe we'll get like maybe we'll get a formal announcement of what the new updated charter agreement is, but we haven't gotten that yet either, because all the teams have to agree to it and everything like that. So maybe it takes some time. And it's almost Christmas time too, mind you. So it's probably just a weird time to announce stuff like that. But here's what we know, or at least has been reported. A lot of things we're going to say today are from great journalists such as Jordan Bianchi, Jeff Gluck, Bob Pockris, Jenna Fryer, Matt Weaver, pulled from virtually all their timelines setting up this document, and last week's episode where we talked about the first week of the trial. Zack and I are not journalists. We are just fans. Everything we say is just from the fan perspective. But here's some things that we know or have been reported. 2311 and Front Row Motorsports charters are reinstated for the 2026 season. That's like the definitive one. Like that's for sure. They've gotten their charters back.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, huge. And definitely, because that was kind of a big question. Like, even if 2311 and Front Row win this case, there's no guarantee that they can even get their charters back because, again, they didn't sign the agreement.
Yep.
I think, in a way, the settlement is best case scenario for the teams as well, because they got to really, pick exactly what they needed to happen. They can get their charters back. They can go racing as a NASCAR Cup Series team without any issues in 2026. That's a huge win, especially after, having to go through the last half of last year not being chartered.
And that's why this was obviously worthwhile for 2311 and Front Row. I mean, they took an initial loss and a risk of losing their charters.
Huge risk. I mean, Front Row could have lost their whole team.
Yeah,
like they would have
easily.
Bob Jenkins would have not been able to survive this. And I think the general theme is that, this settlement is best case scenario for both sides.
I agree.
It really is.
And with that, we don't know the exact numbers, but NASCAR did agree to pay monetary damages to both 2311 and Front Row. It is assumed that that is all the money they lost while they were not chartered teams.
That's
so
fair.
That's fantastic news for Front Row specifically. Like you said, that team I don't think would have been racing next year, even if they won but didn't get their charters back.
Mm-hmm.
Like they wouldn't be racing, but now they will.
This is a great way to kind of like almost reset the score to like what this was before all this lawsuit stuff happened. Obviously, all the money that's spent in, with court stuff, you're never going to get that back. That's just money. That's just money the industry basically just burned, like threw away and burned.
Yep.
And again, that's like the saddest part about all this that we can't do anything about.
Now, the core thing that was at the issue of this lawsuit is now happening. Charters are now evergreen is what they're calling them, but that is just another fancy word for permanent.
That's to make Jim France happy. Because permanent charter is like a trigger word for Jim France.
Yes. He said as much. He said he can't guarantee things forever and permanent.
Which, but I guess fair enough, but whatever makes Jim happy at this point. Whatever gets him to sign the dotted line.
This guarantees security for all the teams in the sport. It kind of makes them like a franchise. Like you see in baseball and the NFL and the NBA. It's just kind of follows what all the other sports do with all their teams. And with this, the cost for the charter is reportedly or assumed to double or triple. Like they were already very expensive. They were going up in price, but they are now skyrocketing because now if you have a charter, it's permanent. You're not at risk of losing it ever. You have
the value just goes up because more people are going to be interested in buying one now.
Mm-hmm.
Like now an actual investor can come in, buy a charter and know this is actually going to last forever. There's going to be more potential investors pumping money into the sport, I guess, right? If they're buying charters like that. So I see that as a good win for the sport. And honestly, kind of a win for NASCAR in this way. Like, yes, they're giving up. Again, that's just like, it feels like something that like Jim France is stubbornly giving up, but it's like, this can kind of be seen as good for NASCAR. I think other people like, Dale Jr. had some thoughts on it because it's kind of going away from how it used to be where it's a more performance-based kind of system. But I mean, I remember we had Matt Weaver on the podcast once, and he kind of like, well, this is the NASCAR Cup Series. It's a big deal. You need charters. Like, if you want to be like the NFL and be a big deal, you need charters. And I'm like, ever since then, I was like, charters make sense. Like,
yeah.
And it's really stupid to invest millions and millions of dollars into them, and they could just go away because Jim France doesn't want them anymore. Like, this is definitely necessary, and I can see why the teams were very, very stubborn on that point.
Two things. One, you said NASCAR really benefits from this. They will now get 10% of any sale of a charter. So let's say Rick Ware Racing wants to sell a charter. NASCAR will get 10% of that sale. Previously, NASCAR only got 2%. So that's a huge advantage to NASCAR, especially with how much these prices are going to go up for the charters. They're going to make a lot of money back with that. And the other thing you said that I want to bring up is that it's not as much of a performance thing. They still do have a clause in here where you have to perform to a certain level. We don't know the specifics of that.
That's BS. I think that's more just like so people don't start in park with the charter.
Yeah.
I think that's all that means, because we saw Rick Ware charter literally get bottom 3 in points. And it was written in the rule, like, if you get bottom 3 in points 3 years in a row, you lose your charter. But that didn't happen. So.
And to my understanding, it sounds like if you don't meet the performance requirements, you get a whole year to sell your charter. Like, you're not just kicked out of the sport, which is apparently how it was with that, which is probably why they didn't never actually, Rick Ware drop it. But that's what it sounds like.
All that sounds pretty fair to me. I think it's just to prevent a situation like this happening again. Yeah. And it kind of protects NASCAR in a way. It's like, well, we didn't take these charters away. We gave them time to sell these charters.
Right. And teams are now going to get 1/3 of revenue from intellectual property, which I believe just means like the teams themselves. Like they'll get, in short, I don't want to try explaining it, as it won't make sense. They're going to get more money. Well, they were not getting a lot of money that they probably should have been getting in the first place.
Yeah. Like if NASCAR has a commercial with like, I don't know, like a Penske car, now Team Penske gets a cut of that because they're using a Team Penske car.
Exactly.
Something
the
like
marketing material, the
logos,
social media, stuff like that. Well,
numbers.
Now teams will now get 1/3 of any kind of money made off of that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah.
Right here we have reinstatement of the 3-strike rule, which we learned about last week, Zach, and it is now the 5-strike rule. And if you have been following along, this rule basically made the teams have a say in major rule changes, and the teams could say, no, we don't like that.
Yeah, try to veto it.
Try and veto it. But I learned, this is from, I believe it was an article by Jordan Bianchi, that each individual team has their own set of strikes. And if an individual team uses all of their strikes, that team specifically is then allowed to compete in another stock car series without punishment. So it's not a big vote. I could be misunderstanding. But
that's how I
interpreted it. That's
what I don't get, though, because then why would you not just fill out your strikes? Like, what does filling out a strike mean? That's my question. Because you still would be taking a vote, right?
It sounds like it. Yeah, it's a little complicated.
What does putting a strike in mean then? What if I just okay, the first 5 rule changes NASCAR comes up with, I'm just going to fill out my strike ticket. Like, tickets, please. Like, give me 5 strikes. And they must still have me taking a vote. Or do you just send like Jim France an email? Like, I'll take one of my strikes, please. This is stupid. We're going back to the Roval again. No.
Which, by the way,
oh my God, that
still
pissed me off.
The craziest thing is that the one thing that got a bunch of strikes was the Roval.
God forbid.
The Roval.
Joey Logano is going to be texting Roger. They got rid of the playoffs. That's a strike. Bring the playoffs back. That's a strike. God.
There is like a provision that I read that this is only for rules that will cost the teams a lot of money. So I believe like the next gen car was probably one. I don't think I've read that anywhere, but like a new car. Like, do you approve of this car? Yes or no? It's probably something.
We're going to go race on Mars. No, that's a little expensive. I don't think we can afford that.
Was it Steve O'Donnell who said, well, if we would have kept the 3-strike rule, the teams would have said no to Mexico.
Right.
And then the financial info came out of that. And it's like, well, yeah, when you look at it that way, you're making the teams pay for their own travel to go very, very farther than anywhere else they go.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, fair enough.
I would understand the team's standpoint on that.
I definitely think it's smart. And also, like, this provision probably keeps them from being sued for being a monopoly again, somewhat. Because, again, now it's well, this kind of was in the previous agreement, though, so I guess maybe not.
The 3-strike rule was in the 2016 to 2024 agreement.
But they got rid of it for the new deal that they signed in September 2024. They did get rid of it, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, fair. I don't know if that's even going to come into play. And also, why is it 5 strikes now instead of 3 strikes?
It's probably something NASCAR wanted while they were quickly negotiating the settlement. They probably wanted more wiggle room.
How did they negotiate all this, by the way, in a few hours? Like,
I don't know.
Or do you think they were probably maybe negotiating it like the night before too? It
might have been the night before.
Because also they got this written out really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like 2 hours. I'm like, I can barely do something like that in 2 hours. Like, that sounds like a lot. I don't know.
The charter revenue, how much money the teams will make from charters, will be renegotiated alongside media rights deals. So the current TV deal ends after the 2031 season. So in 2031, NASCAR and all the charter teams will renegotiate. But instead of extending how long this charter deal lasts, the charters are still a thing. They're just going to be renegotiating how much, all the money aspects of it. And two-thirds of the teams must agree with negotiations to be enacted.
So that makes me, 2/3 of the teams. So if NASCAR tried to, so basically NASCAR is going to throw as low of a number as possible, but at least 2/3 of the teams. Like, I'm just trying to imagine how negotiations are going to work for that. Yeah. Right. Like, NASCAR's like, how low of a number can we throw at them to still get 66% of teams to be fine with this?
Right.
That's going to be interesting how they set that up. I'm just trying to picture in my head.
I don't recall if that was a thing in the 2025.
No, because
I don't remember that being said.
It was just, this is the charter agreement.
You have to sign it.
Obviously, literally, like, sign it or don't sign it, right?
Yeah.
I got to go call Roger while y'all do that. Like, literally.
So this scenario then would block a Jim France from being like, I don't care if I have this many or this many.
Right, because
also 2/3.
That's what I was confused about, because I'm like, well, if charters are evergreen now, then it's like, what if the teams, because this gives the teams all the power if you really think about it. I mean, if all the teams come together and be like, we're not accepting until we get to this much money. But that also begs the question, what if NASCAR in the future is that stubborn and doesn't want to go up to that number? Like, what will happen?
They'd have to keep negotiating. Right?
But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Like, they're just gonna, like, they can't, certainly I guess they are just gonna have to negotiate forever. I don't know. Or are they gonna enact like, okay, we'll keep this current system for one more year. We'll have to get, like, kind of what the government's doing. Like, we'll get an extension. They'll probably do something like that. I don't know. They'll figure it out. They're smart people. They're a bunch of millionaires. Like, I don't know why I'm stressed out about it.
If a team does not sign the renewal, they maintain their charter, which is obviously very different from the 2025 version, because 2311 and Front Row had lost theirs because they didn't sign it. Instead, if they do not sign it, they get a year or possibly more to sell the charter. And I'm assuming that also gives them wiggle room, like if they want to sign it later, I would presume.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
They're not immediately kicked out for not signing it, which is what happened here.
Right. Yeah, they're trying to cover, I think a lot of this is what I see is them trying to cover the biggest issues of what happened to 2311 and Front Row. Like, to keep a team, if another team comes forward in the future that has major problems with this, instead of them taking legal action because they can't race anymore, and make money, this is going to probably, like, keep that from happening. Yeah, most likely. And now the teams have power. Like, a charter negotiation is no longer going to result in a NASCAR lawsuit. Hopefully.
In theory.
In theory. We'll find out in 2032
Because
or whatever.
a lot of the teams, or not a lot, but I'm pretty sure all or most of them put out statements being like, this is great news. Hendrick Motorsports, Team Penske. I didn't see if Joe Gibbs went out. But
honestly.
My favorite one was Wood Brothers saying, quote, great news. That's it.
Great news. Great news. Thank you.
But the team seemed very happy about it. Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, and Bob Jenkins were all very happy.
Everyone seemed happy except Mr. Jim France.
Jim France did not seem happy.
To be fair, does he ever look happy? I don't know. I've never seen that man smile.
Very true.
But it just kind of caught this vibe that, I think Jim France was the entire reason this happened in the first place.
Well, that's a theory I've had, is that he was just like, no, we're going to fight this to the end. I believe that we can't guarantee permanent charters. And then he flops in the testimony. And I think that he fell on his face. And we don't know, but it really does seem that's what happened, that he was really just really pushing, like, no, we're not going to back down. But then when he became the guy who had to go in there, he just failed at it. And there's been a lot of calls, even after the settlement and before the settlement, that Jim France should resign. Jeff Gluck of The Athletic, he did a whole article about it, saying Jim France needs to resign to bring in this new era. We've moved past this trial, and Jim France should go.
This is how we move on. That's kind of how I see it. This is how, because I think one of the biggest questions coming out of everyone right now is, how does NASCAR rebuild from this? Not in a business way necessarily, but more of they did a lot of damage culturally with their fans, I feel like. And well, not even just their fans. Again, Johnny Morris, there's the people putting money into the sport. They did a lot of damage, and they've damaged the trust of a lot of people. I think one way to rebuild is you get new leadership. Especially when Jim France is, you look at him as kind of the reason all of this happened. And yes, this is a family business, but I think because then Jeff in that article is called for Ben Kennedy to kind of step up in place.
That's what I was going to say.
I think that's a genius idea. Ben
Kennedy's still in the family. And from what we've heard from the trial, he really seemed like the good guy. Like, he was telling Jeff Gordon, yeah, we'll try to negotiate with you. He was trying to be like a mediator, it sounded like, from what we heard.
Yes.
And that's more of what you needed in this scenario.
And I believe this was Gluck's article. I remember reading it at the start. Gluck reminds you, Jim France, he's holding up the legacy of his father, Bill France Sr., who founded the sport. I believe. Yeah, he's Senior's son, because Junior was his brother. So he's trying to hold up that legacy of literally his father who founded the sport. That is immense pressure. And think of Jim France, he's in his 80s, right?
Probably.
I mean, very old school approach, I can imagine, right? I think
he's 81.
I kind of see Jim France as this guy just stuck in his ways, not in an evil way. I joked last week, but more just I'm an old guy. This is how my father ran the sport. This is how my brother ran the sport. This is how I'm going to run the sport. Why would I promise something forever? This is my sport. What are you guys talking about? But and you know what? 2311 were the first people to stand up to that in front row. And if that kind of era of rule by an iron fist is over, then I think Jim France, what is he doing here anymore? Does he?
I just don't see how he fits in to this whole new era. And I've seen a lot of people saying we're past the modern era, 1972 to present. I think we're now in a new era. And
in a way.
In a way, yeah. I just don't see how Jim France's leadership is beneficial in any way, especially after last week where he just seemed absent. He didn't know, or at least he claimed to not know, of anything really going on. Yet it seemed he had such an iron fist.
He didn't accept responsibility. He's not. That's not a leader. He is not. Whether he's fit to lead the sport or not, he's not who needs to be leading the sport.
Yeah.
Just from purely just the perspective of, I want someone who takes responsibility. And also, Jim France is never speaking. Like he never does press conferences. He doesn't talk. Like I don't think NASCAR needs a leader like that, a CEO or whatever. Like I don't care if it is just I'm just part of the family and I own it. Ben Kennedy is a lot more involved, and he's young. He's got the whole future ahead of him. I really don't see how Ben Kennedy is not a better fit than Jim France, especially because Jim France just literally all the way to the witness stand. Jim France was stubborn. And I think it wasn't until then, and honestly, probably why the settlement got kickstarted and happened. That's how we got to the settlement. Jim France being on that stand. It took until that. Do we want that kind of stubbornness leading NASCAR? Because I don't. And
that's another thing too. Ben Kennedy, I know, and within NASCAR circles, he is pretty well known, but he's not as well known as, say, a Steve Phelps or a Steve O'Donnell, and both of them have had their flaws as well. Yeah. And I want to talk about Steve Phelps here in a second, but Ben Kennedy, I think, would be a really good face to move on.
Yeah,
he's still in the family, but you're like moving on. He's only 31 years old, Ben Kennedy.
Yeah. He used to drive. I believe he's won a truck race. Most of the time we see Ben Kennedy speaking, I feel like it's for the new events. Like I feel like he spoke a lot for the Bowman Gray coming back.
He's kind of the vision, or like he's supposed to like future. He's the face of the future of NASCAR because
he is always
been there
talking
for a lot of these new places.
Yeah, the newer market events. He might have been. I don't know. Was he on the teardown after Mexico?
Well, I don't remember.
I feel like he was. Someone was on the teardown after Mexico. I feel like it was Ben Kennedy. Anyway, either way, but he is kind of the face of the future. And I think if NASCAR wants to heal from this lawsuit that did a lot of damage, not getting rid of Jim France, but Jim France just passing the torch to his son, because Jim France is pretty obvious. He likes IMSA more anyways. That's his thing.
By the way, IMSA made an announcement day of the settlement or day after, like, we are not doing charters. Interesting.
That is interesting. That's Jim being like, listen, before they try to get y'all. Yeah, and I believe I misspoke. Ben Kennedy is not Jim's son, I believe. I misspoke.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know he's related.
Jim
somehow.
France is his great uncle.
Okay.
Right.
But
yeah, Ben is from like Lisa Kennedy's branch, I assume, last name. So,
but I want to talk about Steve Phelps before we get into all of our Patreon comments on this. I think Steve Phelps is going to be the fall guy. He was not present at the announcement of the settlement. He also gave a pretty bad testimony. And he has really been the centerpiece of the whole Richard Childress saga, because he is who said the things about Richard Childress, calling him a dumb redneck and he should go get in the back and get flogged. Like, he said all that about Richard Childress. And he's apologized for it, but he, with Jim France, have been the two guys that have come out of this whole lawsuit looking the worst.
Yes. And if you really look at Steve Phelps, like, what's the word? His record as NASCAR's president, he was responsible for the next gen car, which very
Zack,
popular with the fans.
He made a comment in the courtroom that the next gen car is the safest race car in all of motorsports, to which Jeffrey Kessler responded, "Do you know who Kurt Busch is?"
Bro was just saying stuff. Like, he was just saying stuff.
Like, Steve Phelps, that is a crazy thing to say. Also, we're not even talking about the next gen car and its safety. And you just, like, is it safer than it was when it debuted? Yeah, but so many concussions. Kurt Busch's career ended prematurely because of the car. Like, that is such an insane thing to say.
Like, so the next gen car, he oversaw the merger between like NASCAR owning the tracks, which caused a lot of the issues in this lawsuit. Phelps has not really, and then this year they called him a commissioner, which I don't know what the heck that even means. I don't think
other sports have a commissioner.
Yeah.
I think they just use the same terminology. Someone high up.
I think Phelps has not really, I don't want to say he hasn't done anything, because again, like, Phelps has also been a part of, a lot of the moving into the future stuff, like going to LA and stuff. But I think Steve Phelps being the fall guy here is not the worst thing in the world, in my opinion.
So
like, I don't know if
I will say whoever does be like a top tier spokesperson for NASCAR, they're going to get a lot of crap from the fans, media,
yeah,
teams,
but
whatever. So I say this because I look at IndyCar. Doug Bowles is now like the president of IndyCar.
Yeah.
He was just the president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Everyone loves him, but he's only been in that role for less than a year now. And people have already started saying like, why isn't Doug Bowles doing this and that?
because
So
he's
no matter
the face
what,
of it.
yeah.
And
So no
like
matter
back in the
who you
day,
get, people aren't going to be happy.
back in the day, Robin Pemberton was kind of he wasn't the president.
Mike
That was
Helton.
Mike Helton. I know, but Robin Pemberton, I remember he gave the speech of the boys have at it. And I think he, back in the day, he came under fire. But like, I didn't see Mike Helton ever getting that kind of, I don't know. I feel like Mike Helton was very respected.
Well, yeah, it was the mustache.
I was also a kid. You know what I mean? I think also, older people probably sympathize because Mike Helton had to say that, and Dale Earnhardt died. So I think everyone kind of had that bond with him in that moment. It's like, wow, he had to go through that as NASCAR president. So
Right.
I don't know. I think, again, NASCAR leadership, I don't think a lot of people, because this is off topic, because NASCAR feels kind of disconnected from its actual core fans.
Yeah.
And it's easy to just kind of blame the leadership, right?
Yep.
It's just really easy. Like,
I mean, that's how it's going to be no matter who it is, ultimately. That's why.
does it have to, though? Because I don't think Doug Bowles doesn't feel that disconnected from the fans to me.
But he's very connected with the fans. That's what the big difference is with him. But I'm just saying, like, even less than a year in, he has started getting some more criticism because he does have a bigger role than he had before.
But I think the hate for the Steves is just also, there's a lot of external factors just with how NASCAR is. But that's a much wider issue.
Question for you, Zach.
Yes, go ahead.
If Jim France resigned and Steve Phelps resigned, we'll call it that, do you think the sport would be in better spot?
100%.
Yeah.
Jim France going away needs to happen. Steve Phelps, I guess you can argue whether or not. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but because in general, I think NASCAR, like the theme of this decade in NASCAR is we need to change. Either we need to go forward or we need to go backward. You know what I mean? Like we need to stop like doing whatever we think NASCAR needs to be, and we just need to be NASCAR.
Yeah.
Like go forward in some areas, go backwards in some areas.
A lot of people bring up Steve O'Donnell in this discussion too. Like he should go to. From what I can tell with him, he wants to speak his mind, but he's always restrained by people above him. Maybe that's just me. I don't see him as bad of a person in this story compared to the other two.
I mean, he's defended some of like the dumbest things in NASCAR, like oh my God, he's defended the playoffs a lot these past few years.
But now he's changing his tune.
Well, also, I mean, that's kind of his job. He is one of the leaders of the sport. Yes, I get that as his job. I'm still going to sit there and be like, this. I feel like you're ignoring the elephant in the room that's like been complaining about this, but whatever. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's leading it. It matters how they lead it. Right.
Yeah.
I just know Jim France does not have the potential to lead NASCAR the way it needs to be.
Yeah. Well, let's get into our Patreon comments, hear what you guys think about
Steve
everything.
Phelps too, I guess, because he's really more the one actually leading it.
Yeah.
I guess. Actively.
So this first comment is from Patreon member Finley. It's a brand new era because NASCAR has never allowed competitors to have a legitimate say in how the company is run. We also know a tremendous amount of how the organization operates. Also, if you're a JRM fan, you might be out of luck right about now. So, yeah, that's kind of what we just said there. They're in a new era. It is big for the teams that they now have a big say. And yeah, we did learn quite a lot about how the sport operates, and I don't know if we're ever going to get that kind of access again.
Yeah, that was probably the most fascinating part, and I think it's why a lot of NASCAR fans were very engaged in this trial, myself included.
Same.
And yeah, interesting note about because Dale Jr. said on his podcast, he can't really. This wasn't after the settlement, but it's just he cannot afford to get into the Cup Series because of the charter system, and I think some people can see that as bad, but I think most people aren't going to come into a major sport like this because, again, we want the Cup Series to be seen as a major sport.
Mm-hmm.
We see partnerships. Again, Denny Hamlin didn't just get into team owning by himself either.
Well, look
right?
at Jimmy Johnson with Legacy, Brad Keselowski with RFK.
That's just kind of how it's going to be, which is, I mean, I think that's fair too, because, well, with charters, it's less slots, but, you know, partnerships is how we get more people involved still. And so, you know,
I know Dale Jr. is very frugal, and I don't know his full opinion on charters in general, but I do wonder if now that they're permanent and they're going to be worth more in the long run, if he could find a partner to do that kind of money, if he'd be more willing to do it, because he's been very hesitant while they are much, much cheaper.
Him and Kelly had a really good episode. This was before the settlement, but he because in my perspective, or me taking what Dale was saying, he kind of doesn't like the charter system because it's just, he likes it more old school. Like, you show up and you get paid if you run well. Right? Not this charter crap where you have to have this huge investment at the forefront. So, but that's Dale Jr. That's him. That's why he sticks to Xfinity, because he can race there and either come out even or lose a little bit of money. You know, it is what it is.
And that kind of relates to this other comment we got from Patreon member Jesse, who says, I'm glad they reached a settlement, but it'll be interesting to see the prices of charters increase. Because of that, less drivers without funding may not have a chance to be in NASCAR. And I don't know if you meant team owners rather than drivers, because we already kind of have that with drivers. Drivers need to have money and a sponsor.
See, I don't know how that would get. I don't know if that would get better or worse. I guess it'd be bad for new teams, but like for every team that already has a charter, nothing gets more expensive. In fact, they're getting more money from the settlement.
Yeah.
So
maybe we actually get better drivers, maybe, because they're going to have more money coming in.
In theory, and this is kind of what NASCAR, one of the good arguments NASCAR had in the case was the teams will spend whatever to be competitive. They will spend as much as possible to be competitive. Yep. So that's what I'm curious about too, because you can make stuff cheaper and you can give the teams more money, but at the end of the day, I feel like with how expensive this sport is, it's going to be really hard to get the teams to stop accepting money from pay drivers. That's, right. I mean, we've been
no matter what.
Paul Menard was a thing back when we were kids, Alex. Like, sure, there weren't a lot of Paul Menards, but there was a Paul Menard. Like, it's hard to sit here and just, I don't know, act like that's going to change anytime soon. But I don't think it's going to get worse.
I do think the bigger problem is what you said with Dale Jr., like the old school way. You're not going to see a mom and pop race team show up unless they have a couple $1 million just laying around. But
you could argue that's not a bad thing either, because again, this is the NASCAR Cup Series.
Right.
And if you want, and listen, there still are teams that show up for the Daytona 500, right? Yeah, I mean, Junior himself, he shows up for the Daytona 500. And I think that's something that this sport really needs to like hold on to, like for the Daytona 500, especially like every sport, like the Rolex 24, the Indy 500. There's always these teams that show up just for that event. Yeah. NASCAR needs to make sure that they are very friendly to that. I don't know if they need to do anything more, but just keep that in mind. But racing week to week, you shouldn't see a kind of a mom and pop team in the Cup Series. That's more for your truck Xfinity ARCA, right?
Yeah.
You know, go down the ladder. I kind of get that. But there's still stories of like, you know, Bob Jenkins.
Yeah.
Not as like,
I mean, he is a millionaire, but like
that's the thing.
Compared to a Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske, like he's as close as you're probably going to get that kind of story.
Because honestly, if you really think about it, anyone in racing they're doing well enough in life to buy a race car. If you really think about it,
your local racers, like your local dirt track racers, they got money because it costs a lot of money to put together a late model and a modified, and to buy the tires, to buy all the parts.
They might be living a little frugal, and they might be really tight to run their race team, but they still have enough money to run a race team.
They got money. You need money no matter what.
It's all perspective. It's all perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm not running no race team. I don't got that kind of money. I got a Mustang EcoBoost in the driveway and I'm still paying for that. Like I'm good.
Let's go to this comment here from Benjamin, Patreon member Benjamin. I think the settlement is good. It seemed to me each day of the trial looked worse for NASCAR. The teams are doing a victory lap, but I think all parties still come out a little bruised. What sponsors want to be involved with this? The Bass Pro Shops letter seems like it was the thing that got NASCAR to settle. I personally think that it's settling now. I think the sponsors are going to be chill. But
I think this happening in December is a really good time because we have 2 months to pull off. Yes.
Yeah. Like if we got to the Daytona 500
and the storyline is about the lawsuit, like that'd be bad.
Yeah. The sponsors would probably be pissed off.
Yes.
And I think NASCAR kind of dodged a bullet that the larger media apparatus didn't like latch onto this as tight. They did a little bit when Michael Jordan testified and then when the settlement news dropped, but it wasn't like a major bombshell story that everyone's talking about. That never happened. I thought it would get to that. It never did.
Think if Michael Jordan would have beat NASCAR in court, I think that gets to be a much bigger story.
I think that is what Bass Pro Shops, and I don't know anything. I really think other sponsors were probably telling NASCAR, you got to wrap this up. Like
Johnny Morris I feel like Johnny Morris was just one of the few that was like, I'm going to make this public.
Yeah. And it makes sense. He sponsors what? 3 cars? Two
Chase Briscoe, nearly full time, by the way. That's why I say, like, when I said Bass Pro Shops puts a lot of money into the sport, I'm like, that I don't have to think about that a lot. I don't have to think about that because if he's sponsoring the 19 car almost the full season, that by itself is like a lot. Plus
the
Austin
19,
Dillon,
the 3. There's another one, right?
I feel like there's another one somewhere. Maybe it's in Xfinity. Oh, well, he did Carson Kvapil, but I don't know if he's doing that. I don't think he's doing that next year.
But still, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
He was sponsoring Noah Gragson. I don't know if he was in this year, but anyway.
I think that was last year for Stuart Haas.
Yeah. But I do think other sponsors were saying stuff. And is there anything else I want to mention in that? Yeah, this trial every day got worse. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Do you have any other comments on this comment here, Zach?
No, because it's spot on from Benjamin there.
Yeah, I agree. Next comment is from Patreon member Brendan. I was enjoying the drama from the courtroom. I'm disappointed they settled because now we won't learn more about what goes on behind the curtain. Overall, though, this is huge. I'm curious how soon the management culture starts to change at NASCAR, with teams having more of a voice now. For the first time in a while, I'm excited about the trajectory of NASCAR, and that's a nice feeling to have. Yeah,
I come out of this settlement again feeling really positive because I think I don't know. I wasn't really having anxiety over the sport because I think some people were having anxiety. Some people were being a little dramatic, like, are we racing at Daytona? Like, girl. But I again, best case scenario. This is the best case scenario of anything that could have happened. So, yeah, I mean, it's just good all around. I don't really have anything to add to it.
Yeah. Then we do have one more comment, Zach.
Actually, I do have one more thing to add to it. Okay. Because what NASCAR could really do, and one of my pet peeves about this lawsuit were people that kept bringing up like the point system and like competition stuff.
That has nothing to do with this.
But if we go the right direction with that too, it's like, oh my God, this is the best sport in the world.
Then we're really in a new era.
Then we are really in a, that's what I'm saying.
Mind you, if they were to announce, hey, we're doing full season points, that'd be a crazy turnaround for the general public opinion.
That's how, I mean, especially like if you want to distract people from the lawsuit, like bring NASCAR back to its roots. Let's do that right now.
Which, by the way, Bob Pocker said today on Twitter that he doesn't expect an announcement on that until January.
That's fair. That's when they announce
That's when they usually announce it.
Which some people were complaining, like, but the teams are points racing in a few months. Like, girl, it's Daytona. They ain't nobody racing for points. Let's come on. We're trying to see Noah Gragson.
Bowman Gray don't got no points anyway.
Yeah.
We do have one more Patreon comment. I didn't get it in the doc, but I have it on my phone here. It's from Patreon member Dirt. Do you think NASCAR is in a better place when the TV contract is up in 2031 after this lawsuit?
Yes, because they're going to do full season points, and then we're going to gain 5 million fans, and no one's going to watch F1 because it's on Apple TV. So all those F1 fans heard about NASCAR, and they're going to start watching NASCAR, and they're going to realize that Ryan Blaney is cuter than Oscar Piastri.
Oh,
no, he's not. No, he's not.
Oh, wow. That's a bold comment.
No,
like, I like both of them, but like, wow.
They're two different, like...
That's very different. That's different genres of
NASCAR and F1 are different motorsports, like how Oscar Piastri and Ryan Blaney are different types of hot men.
And I like both of them.
And you like both of them, but you don't. You can't compare them. You can't compare them.
No.
Sorry. But I'm right, though. Just like Joseph Newgarden, in a way.
Yeah,
Joseph Newgarden and Oscar Piastri they're similar, but they're also very different.
I think you're right about the F1 Apple TV thing. We don't know if they're going to do full season points. I'm not holding my breath on that. I do think
I'll take them to court.
If they did lose this, like they actually went through the whole thing and the jury said, NASCAR, you're evil, you lose.
You're evil.
Which I think they were going to do, mind you.
Oh, yeah.
And with the ratings going down, I don't think that would have helped the ratings long term. The next TV deal would have been a disaster. I do think that this, at least for the team standpoint, gives them a lot of stability. Hopefully, the ratings can kind of rebound, and that'll give NASCAR a better TV deal, and ultimately the teams a better charter agreement because they'll be negotiating that when the TV contract is up.
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all of our Patreon members for their questions. You can join in the discussion in future episodes at patreon.com/GaryRacingPod for just $2. And Zach, we also have to talk about IndyCar, unless you have anything else to say about NASCAR and the trial settlement.
Nope. That's it.
Guys, we're free. The chains breaking free emoji meme. We're done.
Oh my God.
IndyCar, we're in the T, guys. Welcome to the T segment. IndyCar has announced an independent officiating body for the 2026 season. Zach, before we talk about who is a part of this, your initial thoughts on just that.
Well, it's something that needed to happen. It's probably something that needed to happen sooner than it did.
Yeah.
But better late than never. You know what I mean? I think the talks of this started after the push to pass gate at from St. Pete 2024. It definitely kind of almost climaxed a little bit at the Indy 500 qualifying last year with the attenuators, them getting disqualified from qualifying. I'm talking about the Penske cars here.
Yeah.
And so this definitely needed to happen with Penske, Penske Entertainment owning the sport. So the fact that it happened at all, great. This is good. And I think they actually did a really good job with the 3 people that they picked, if you want to go ahead and go through that.
Yeah. So there's a 3-person board that'll be a part of this independent officiating body. And it includes Raj Nair, who I hadn't heard of before, but he's an automotive executive who previously oversaw all of Ford Motorsports programs, Zach. You're a big Ford guy.
So go ahead.
Okay.
Just go through the list.
Next one is Ray Evernham, a NASCAR championship winning crew chief. I think all of us NASCAR
Might
fans
have heard of him.
know him. Yeah.
Casey Kane, your little boyfriend back in the 2000s, he raced for him. Yep.
My gay awakening, Casey Kane.
Your gay awakening, Casey. Mine was Danny Phantom, but we'll go ahead.
Honestly,
it's a close race.
It's a close race. I don't know.
That's one of those close races that Casey Kane lost.
Nope. It was like the photo finish when Kenseth beat Casey. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the third member is Ronan Morgan, who's a chairman of stewards for 100+ events around the world, and he's a former sporting manager of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So
coincidentally, his last race at Abu Dhabi was 2021, but we don't have to talk about that. Anyways, that's just a joke, though. By the way,
Ronan Morgan was appointed by the FIA, who IndyCar is working with, that just have a third member. Like it just seems like a partnership that doesn't really mean much of anything.
Yeah, the FIA, they also revised, and this is some tea, they revised the super license points that placing in the IndyCar championship gets. Like the IndyCar, like in general,
as soon as Colton Herta goes, they're like, we're changing it. Actually,
that is a little comedic. I'm not going to lie. That's slightly comedic. So, there is an argument that like Colton Herta, at least like he's now like going to be on the F1 tracks. So if he is serious about going to F1, he's now going to get to learn the F1 tracks. Yeah. So sure, I see more people going from F2 to that's the thing. No one really goes from IndyCar to F1, so I don't think it makes a difference anyways. Let's talk about this board though, because I really like this board.
As I was saying, though, Ronan Morgan was appointed by the FIA.
Yes, because they got
just like a little partnership with IndyCar. Yes. Yeah, they got to appoint one person. Raj Nair and Ray Abraham were appointed by all the chartered IndyCar team owners, which is all of them except for Prema and any of the Indy 500 only teams, because they're not chartered.
Yes. And so I want to talk about I listened to David Land's video on this, and I'm kind of getting a lot of my talking points from him. So credit to David Land. But Raj Nair, former I guess leader at Ford Motorsports, Ford Performance, whatever the hell you want to call it. That's a really good pick because Ford, he doesn't have interest in Honda or Chevy. He's not still with Ford, but like he never worked for a manufacturer that was in IndyCar, which might think is bad, but it's kind of good because he's not going to have bias. Like he's not going to have Honda bias. He's not going to have Chevrolet bias. That's and Ford currently has no plans. They said it himself. I believe that was someone said it. I forgot who the Ford CEO is. Which
Ford barely has plans in NASCAR at this point.
Ford has no plans to go to IndyCar.
Yeah,
this is great, right? Very and this is again someone from like a more motorsports leadership side. Ray Everham is probably the best pick that they could have gotten. And here's why. Ray Everham has been a crew chief, aka he has cheated. He knows how to cheat. He's going to know how people cheat.
Oh, that's
but
funny.
Again, he has not been in IndyCar before, so there's no biases, right? The only biases he might potentially have is SRX. I know you're raising your finger, but he also has experience leading a series, SRX. Like he has a lot of experience. He owned a race team. Like he has a very versatile resume, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it makes him a really good fit for this role.
What I want to say about Ray Everham is he does not commit to things for a long period of time.
Girl, you're right. That's why he's done so much. Wait a minute.
He's going to be in this role for maybe a year or two.
This is his new fixation.
Someone else. Yeah, he's literally just on a fixation right now.
How long did he own his team? That was like not even a decade.
Not that long.
I mean, okay.
It merged with Petty at some point.
He changes it up, Alex. Stop hating on my king.
And then he goes and does SRX, which pissed NASCAR off. And he's like, I'm bored. Left after a year.
Well, it kind of flopped. SRX kind of flopped. You're hating on him. Stop hating on him. What? I mean,
the Steves don't agree with you on that one. The Steves don't agree with you. SRX flopped.
Listen, when IndyCar flops, then Ray can go do something else, okay? Leave him alone.
I'm just saying, I bet this 3-person thing, you're going to have a new member replacing Everham within a year or two.
You want to bet on that?
I'm willing to bet on it, honestly.
Girl, nah, you're a hater.
I'm not hating. I'm just making an observation.
You're hating on my legend, Ray. The voice of the crew chief in NASCAR Inside Line, Ray Everham.
I did love him on ESPN. When he does his brief little ESPN stint.
Oh, was that bad too? That he did TV for a few years? I bet that was bad too, huh?
No, I'm not saying it's bad.
How dare Ray Everham live his life? Sorry, Alex thinks you're doing too much.
Oh
Pick a lane, Ray.
Okay,
Alex.
What do you want to say about Ronan Morgan, Zach?
I find it interesting that the FIA is very more involved in IndyCar right now. It's kind of strange.
They're probably counting down the days on Roger.
Formula America?
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Actually, that'd be a better name. No one understands what IndyCar is.
Low key.
Maybe.
I would actually love Formula America. That sounds tough.
Just don't make it
I hate IndyCar.
Formula One feeder.
Baby.
I know it's going to be. But
well, feeder's like a weird term because, again, if it's not going to be, because there is, I believe there's an F3. I don't know if there's an F3 in America. or an F4 in America. I think F3. They used to have an America Championship F3. I don't know. Maybe that's F4.
But do you have any other points about Ronan Morgan?
No, just in general, I like how versatile this board is. They're all from kind of like different walks of, because again, this Ronan Morgan, he is more like he's got responsibility of actually leading events, while the other two are more like leading teams and leading series. Like this is, someone who's led events. I think they covered all their bases. There's not going to be bias. It's 3 people. If any like decisions or rules, which again, this is completely independent. So from here on out, there's no questions. Like Team Penske cannot get away with anything.
Right.
I guess.
And these 3 guys will be appointing a managing director of officiating to oversee all race control and technical inspection as well, which that's good.
Did you see Michael Massey got hired for something? He got hired to, oh my God, what was it? I feel like it was a motorcycle. It was not MotoGP.
This is not fair.
No, Mikey, no, this is so not right. Has a new job at the New Zealand Championship.
Well, good for him. He's employed.
Yeah, Motorsport New Zealand, whatever the heck that is.
Huh.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, good move for IndyCar. Anything else on this one, Zach?
I'm looking forward to IndyCar this season.
Really?
I think IndyCar has a lot of life this season. I don't know if it's the schedule shakeups. Like we have 3 new venues, right?
I'm excited for Phoenix to be back.
Yeah, like it's at the expense of like Iowa and stuff, but like 3 new venues, second year with Fox. We'll see what they refine. We'll have another great Indy 500. We won't be there, but there'll be another great Indy 500.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying the IndyCar and iRacing. This is why I'm excited for IndyCar. I've been driving it on iRacing.
Damn, iRacing fixation.
iRacing fixation. I don't know. It'll be a good season of Formula America. I would love that to happen. Formula America. F America. F America. F America.
I mean, a lot of people agree with that one.
F America. That's funny.
Well, Zach, I think we're going to wrap this episode up. We have one more episode planned for this year. We've done a lot of December episodes this year. We still have one more, and we've planned this one for a while, but then the trial stuff happened.
Yeah.
But we have some fun guests planned for that one. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We'll write letters to Santa and talk about what we want for Christmas and New Year's. Just in general. Just what we want.
Stay tuned for that. Looking forward to it. Patreon members, you'll be able to give your input on that episode for $2 a month at patreon.com/GayRacingPod. And $5 a month, you'll get it early whenever we record it.
You'll definitely get it early. You might get it a few days early. Cool.
Yeah.
If I record that, I'm going to go like sleep for 3 days.
Yeah, so $5 a month if you want to get that episode early. Consider giving us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and liking and subscribing on YouTube, and follow the podcast at Gay Racing Pod on all of the socials, and follow us on Blue Sky and Twitter at New Gaiden and at Dreamy Zack Racing.
And with the lawsuit over, go get a life.
It's a little cold outside, but I was going to say touch the grass.
Go play video games, watch TV, like go do something. Like
take a nap.
Charge up for the Rolex. The Rolex is coming. We have like just excited. 5 weeks until the Daytona 24. You got to charge up for it, man. But yeah, we will see you guys next episode of the Gay Racing Podcast. Thank you so much, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.